I did, yes.
How good of friends would you say you were with Angeline?
Very close. I would say she was one of my closest friends around that age.
At that point, Angeline lived with her parents in Menifee, I believe.
In Murrieta. No, I did not. No, I did not. Correct.
Now, part of what Angeline testified to is that in her perception, she will say, you became involved in the
That's correct, I did. Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit. When did you start using
I mean, prior to that, I had just done the occasional social smoking and drinking. But at the age of 23, I had an accident on a quad. And so I had broken my hip in 2 places, and I was prescribed Norcos and Percocet.
So, we talk about moving to Livermore, 17, finishing up here in this area, working at John Juice, the only time some drugs, some alcohol, normal social setting.
Correct, yes. Right.
And then you get a little older, age 23, has accident and prescribed, right?
Correct.
Time, one of those Percocets, painkillers.
Yes.
In your opinion, that turns into an addiction?
Yes, very quickly.
How fast?
I would say like within the first week, because I realized if I took more than the prescription told me to, then I could get more done and I didn't feel my pain, and therefore I was able to go back to work sooner.
You talked to your doctor about that?
No, I did not.
When you're self-medicating, you were able to say, what we would take, bottle, what we would take, 200 milligrams, 800 milligrams, and it makes you more energetic, free, long, like,
Correct.
okay?
Yes.
So if you didn't talk to your doctor about this, it becomes a problem, because there's Norcos and Percocets, they're not perfectly
Correct.
So what do you do to solve that problem?
I started reaching out to outside people who were selling them illegally.
Outside people in the area?
Yes.
How exactly?
Either through acquaintances from high school, parents of my ex-boyfriend, just kind of like people that I knew from or knew of at that time.
You're active when you were 23, right?
Yes.
And that would be roughly 2015.
Correct.
So as we go into the ages 24, 25, years 2015, 2016, following the same path.
Yes.
So you have a prescription all the way through?
No, I did not.
At some point, doctor said, I'm prescribing you 4 months worth, 120 pills, and that's just what you have,
Right.
and you continue though to be addicted to painkillers
Yes.
throughout those years, 2015, 2016, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Was it always easy to find Norcos and Percocets?
No.
You had to use all those resources, those friends, or word of mouth.
Right.
Was there ever a time, all of it, where you wanted to break that stage?
Not at that moment, no, because my ex had the resources. So after our breakup, when I was around the age of 26, that's when I started seeking people on Craigslist or online, or other people through other people on my own.
Can you help us out a little bit, sort of on the good side of physical pain from the accident?
Correct.
Had a sore arm, or sore hip, or walk, drugs to take care of that problem, right?
Right.
You said that those specific drugs, drugs, Percocet, also give you other drugs.
Yes.
What were the bad?
The withdrawals were like heroin withdrawals, so you would get the cold sweat, more flu symptoms, achy body, throwing up, no appetite, loss of weight rapidly, muscle spasms, so on and so forth. It's okay. I just said and so on and so forth.
So the withdrawals would be primarily when you simply run out of drugs.
Correct, yes.
Would that be simply to find diet?
Yes.
The time saying you have money, the drugs you found, the money to purchase.
Yes.
You had your income from job and juice, or your job and income for that.
Yes.
Mom and dad told you so much you know that.
Yes.
Cost of drugs is
Very much so.
so just pick one out there. Norcos, Percocet, eventually Oxy. How much money do you have to the next buy?
It just depended because when I started out, like I was only taking a small dose, but the more that you took them, then the more that you had to up the dosage to get the same high effect. So towards the end, I was taking about 20 of the 30 mil oxys a day. So I don't know like how roughly that would be. That's 30 per pill. So that's $600 like a day.
So, just break that down a little bit so we all understand. Tolerance level change. What the work say in February, you do this morning, same amount of work in July, body tolerance change.
Yeah.
So chase that feeling, get you to how much you do, or it up doses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same point where if you take 20 or more pills a day,
Yeah.
how does that
Can you rephrase the question?
well, if you get the accident and
Mm-hmm.
in that 5-year period,
That was around when I was like 26, 27. I was like taking that high of a dosage. Correct.
With getting that much money, very, very difficult.
Yes.
Doesn't make it up with job use or other job, right?
No.
Mom, dad, what you do,
No. No.
So, you resorted to things, for instance, stealing some money, for instance?
I would borrow money, or I would get what you say fronted, so they would give me the pills, and then when I came up with the money, I would pay them back. I would steal them from my stepdad because he had a prescription in his house. So I wouldn't necessarily steal money, but I was borrowing and then having to pay it back when I was paid.
That was the topic, but at some point, were you willing to tax with individuals in exchange for drugs?
Yes.
Male supplier, friend,
Yes. Yes.
During the same time, or maybe because of you experience mental health.
My mom had 5150'd me because I was going to pick up, and she didn't want me to, so she had called the cops and said that I was suicidal. And so when I had gone to the Stange, and like the doctor had diagnosed me and said that I was borderline bipolar.
So let me first. You had it in same time frame during the diagnosis of borderline bipolar.
Correct.
And that would be characterized by these things from a very high or feeling say very well depression.
Yes.
You yourself experience those swings of mood.
Yes.
The low side of that depression, during that same time frame,
Yes.
drugs, self-medication, help out, that's right.
Key fob
Yes.
battery checks good, period.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned suicide. In your mind, look back now, were you suicidal at that point in your life? Yes.
Rephrase it, please.
Were you suicidal at that time in your life?
Not at that time, no.
At some point in your life, were you suicidal?
And the phrase limited to a certain time period.
Were you suicidal at any point in those 5 years when you talked about between your accident in 2015 and your last accident?
No.
You mentioned that your mom had 5150.
Yes.
5150 is the post-pension welfare contribution. So essentially, you were hospitalized for 72 hours or period of time.
It was less than 24 hours.
Fair to say, it appeared that your mom was concerned about you,
Yes.
or you appeared your mom about all of the above,
Yes.
that would be the same time period from start of the drug use to
Yes.
At some point in time, if you meet an individual by the name of Henry Stange,
Yes.
how did you meet him?
I found his ad for selling Oxy or Norcos or Percocets on Craigslist, and so I had gotten his phone number through there and then reached out to him and met up with him in downtown area.
So, let's start here. At that point, when you were going through your studies,
Correct.
and you were looking for individuals who could
Yes.
sell you something,
Yes.
and medicine is very least Norco, you mentioned Oxy as well.
Yes, I did.
When did you start using?
It was just depending on what the dealer had.
Obviously, a lot of
Yes.
does it matter to you whether
No.
it all could be utilized by you?
Yes.
So at some point in time, you went from contact with boyfriend and other contact personal life, actually searching the internet to see if you can find another important provider of Craigslist.
That is correct.
You went on Craigslist.
Yes.
When would that?
In the same time frame when I was about 26, 27.
Again, you were born in 1991, so generally 26 years old. That would be 2017 timeframe.
Yes.
And you went on Craigslist. How exactly did you find it? Terms, age,
Just with keywords. I guess once you figure it out, you kind of know what keywords to put in there for the for sale ads or what they would keep it under.
so utilizing those keywords, you were able to locate ads, so to speak.
Yes.
And you call exactly what it said, just what
Just like a hidden message saying what he had, the price, and his information to contact him.
so hidden message.
Yes. So that if you clicked on the ad, it wasn't very obvious what they were selling.
Your experience.
Correct.
Painkiller, or price.
No name, but a phone number, yes. A text. Yes.
That person,
Yes.
how did that first transaction?
I met up with him in downtown Murrieta. We pulled up next to each other, both of our cars. He got in my back seat. We did the transaction. He told me about his divorce with Melissa, and so he just was kind of talking to me a lot, actually. And then I was just kind of trying to get the transaction done. And so afterwards, he got in his car and drove away, and I drove away because I was already in the driver's seat.
So at that point, he was sharing quite a bit about his personal life, divorce, and also.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you share anything about your life?
No.
You just wanted to talk.
Yes.
And you gave him some money at that point, and you gave him some drugs in exchange.
Yes.
What kind of drugs did you use in that?
At that time, he had the 10 milligram option.
How long did that particular supply last?
I would say roughly 2 weeks.
When you were done with that supply, which was back, same text message, same phone number, and satisfied address.
No.
At that point, you still had various ways to supply.
Yes.
Now, at some point, this would be 2017, okay?
Correct.
Where were you living in that time?
With my mom in Canyon Lake.
Michigan?
Yes.
Raised in Everett?
Yes.
At some point, you contacted Henry, the vice versa, at the same time?
Yes.
When was that?
Honestly, I don't remember exactly, but just if I reached out to my other reliable sources and they didn't have anything, then I would just keep going down the list of contacts until somebody did.
And on that second occasion, we reviewed that as far as that list, we can recall the facts.
Yep.
The second time, wait, you have to go?
Yes.
How did that change?
I think that time he said that he had trusted me enough, even though I only met him once, to meet him at his residential home. Yes.
Where exactly was that residential?
Right in the back of downtown Murrieta. I can't remember the street name, but it's just directly behind it.
You've seen photographs for entrance of the new place?
Yes.
Is that familiar?
Yes.
Sort of an older home, older by the standards of Smithfield area.
Yes.
The older part of the area.
That is correct.
What happened with that?
I just walked into the residence. He showed me in the garage because he had a lot of instruments, and he was in the garage at the time. And we just did the transaction, and then I gave him the money, and then I left.
We've seen photographs of the garage, cluttered, right?
Yes.
Saw the instruments.
Yes.
Radio equipment.
Yes.
Or
Just where the transaction occurred.
at some point, your contact with
I would say so, yes. Just because he was a little more like open or willing to, like I had mentioned the fronting, he was a little more open or willing to trade transactions if I didn't have money. So he became like my first contact instead of the last.
So, unlike other individuals, you reach out to for drugs or say,
Oh, no.
do the transaction immediately.
Correct.
Henry was a little more loose in that regard. He would give you bills.
Correct.
So you've got the list of contacts. You'd be the first phone call when you need it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
At some point, you become aware that Henry seemed to affection for you beyond
Eventually, but it was way further down the road.
way further down the road that you also share
No.
relationship on your side.
Can you rephrase the question?
So, your perception down the road is
Mhm.
Henry putting you more
Not necessarily, no.
you feel like you thought you were
When his kids were around, he would say that I was his friend, so that was like the only part that I heard of it.
for you, during those same times, did you consider him
No.
what was you?
My drug dealer.
Is there a time period where you had sexual relations?
Yes.
Is that because you had affection for him?
No.
Why would you have sex with him?
He had made the offer that if I didn't have money, we could exchange for sex instead of me paying him in cash.
When did that?
After like a couple of months that I had been purchasing from him.
So that would be 2007.
Yes.
So eventually, I get to agree with this, you meet Curtis, right?
Correct.
So this agreement, Henry, where you can exchange sex for drugs, very first time, that before or after?
It was prior.
Prior to that?
Yeah.
It was no more complicated than what you just described, that opposed to paying hundreds of dollars for certain amount of pills, she instead was giving pills to sex.
Correct.
Did you spend the night, go to dinner with him, or anything like that? Or
When I would spend the night, sometimes, occasionally, if I didn't want to go back home, because I didn't want to go back home under the influence, and we would never go out to eat. We would either get like takeout and bring it back, or just make dinner at his place.
so on those occasions that you just described about not wanting to go home under the influence, wanting to pick out, you would actually use painkillers at the regular residence,
Correct.
and that would be when you exchange sex for drugs.
Yes.
Would you also exchange sex for additional amount of drugs that if you use the next day or next week?
No.
Would those be that if you have sex with under the effect of drugs?
I guess it wasn't really thought out or planned. It just kind of occurred.
And I'm not adding to the precise logic to it for you is just the way life works out, right?
Right.
Would you still, during the time frame when you were making that exchange, were the times when you would have money and that you would sell you additional pills?
No.
Would you be able to get additional pills from other suppliers?
Correct.
Just in the fact that there's still other means that got into your life, sales that would sell you Northos, Percocet, Oxy, for an amount of money that you could.
Yes.
Now, you spoke already about Angeline. Angeline is somebody that you stayed friends with from a very young age, 19 or 20, all the way up through 2018, right?
Correct.
And she was somebody, like those, that she would come and go in your life. She was in school and you were doing other things, right?
Correct.
She considered her a friend all that time.
Yes.
And there was a time in 2017 where you were asked to watch your dog. Remember that?
Yes.
Where was Angeline? She was living with her parents?
She was. Yes.
Where was she living at that time?
The apartments in Temecula around the pond.
Around Harveston Lake?
Yes.
She was living there, had a dog, maybe somebody to feed the dog, walk the dog, the dog.
Yes. Her dog and her cat.
And you took that job, right?
Yes.
How long was that job supposed to be for?
A week.
You were actually going to live there, watch the apartment, watch the house, dog and cat?
Yes. They said that I could stay there, but they also said that I didn't have to, that I could just be in and out as long as the animals were taken care of.
She gave you a key, a code,
Yes.
with full access and place?
Correct.
Do you remember in what month, what time of year, 2017 it was?
I know it was around summertime because they were going to Mexico for the summer.
Summer?
Yes.
Do you remember the middle of summer, late summer?
I couldn't pinpoint it, honestly.
Hot.
Yes.
During that week, when you were over there in and out, walking the dog and feeding the cat, is that when you first met? First visit?
Correct.
How did that happen?
The night that I went over there to get the keys, and they could explain everything to me before they left for their vacation. Curtis was there, and they introduced us, and she said, "This is my cousin who will also be staying here on the weekends."
So, very place that you express a lot about love, Curtis also had access to something like that.
Correct.
Out of that circumstance, that's when
Yes.
you've never met him before?
No.
After that, after you were that, did you start a dating relationship?
No.
Did you keep in contact?
No.
Now, at that point during that week, when you were meeting for the first time, and you were walking the dog, any drug use by you at that point?
Yes.
Do you have drugs and drugs from Curtis?
No.
Did you keep it a secret from people like Curtis, or specifically Curtis, that had this habit or addiction to drinking?
Yes.
It's not the first thing that you tell people, hey, I'm a drug user.
No.
You keep that private.
Yes.
It's just something you have your way, it would just be new and people that sold you drugs and stuff like that.
Correct.
Okay?
Yes.
When did you start to date Curtis in a more formal way?
It was about 2 months after that. I had randomly texted him and reached out to him, and then we kind of started hanging out regularly after that.
So about 2 months after the trip to Mexico, is that what you said?
Yes.
You texted him, he answered, and you started hanging out after that, right?
Correct.
So the trip to Mexico was the summer of 2017. This would be either late summer or early fall 2017.
Correct.
And Curtis, he wasn't a drug supplier, right?
No.
He wasn't somebody that used drugs to your house.
No.
And again, did you keep it secret, at least initially, from Curtis that that was addiction?
Yes.
So for you, you had people that would supply you drugs, you had somebody like Henry specifically that was occasionally you had sexual relationships, right?
Correct.
Was Curtis somebody different in your mind?
Yes.
What was Curtis for you at that point?
Curtis was somebody that I was actually interested in, somebody that I wanted to have my life together for, and which is why I was keeping my drug addiction from him, and somebody who I wanted to like be taken seriously and to take seriously.
So, Curtis was, in your mind, a potential somebody that you consider yourself with in a serious relationship.
Correct.
You were aware that he was in the Marine Corps?
Yes.
He was stationed at that point in 29 Palms?
Correct.
And when you first met him, it would have been here in Temecula at Harvest, right?
Yes.
You said September, early fall, October, whatever it was. That's when you first started hanging out, right?
Correct.
Did you hang out in 29 Palms or down here or above?
The first few times that we hung out, it was in Temecula, but then after we had hung out a couple times and got to know each other better, I went out to 29 Palms to stay with him.
So as you're starting this relationship, you feel serious, Curtis, how could you control your drug use or drug addiction? Would you be high with him? Would you just tell him? Or
Occasionally, yes.
you could wake up in the morning, do some drugs, and go about your day?
Yes.
And in your mind, you're able to sort of function normally once you have that addiction, right?
Yes.
Meanwhile, though, during the same time frame when you're having this serious relationship with Curtis, you were still using drugs, right?
Correct.
Still needed to find that amount of Oxy or Norco or Percocet?
Yes.
You're still going to these various individuals?
Yes.
You're still going to legislators?
Yes.
How often would you, at that point, in the fall, even at the start of winter 2017, would you go see him?
It was about once a month.
Once a month, you would give him a call, give him a text?
Yes.
Would he ever reach out to you and tell you that, hey, I just got some Oxy, fill a prescription, something of that nature?
Yes.
How would he tell you that?
I believe through email.
How exactly would that be?
He would just say that he picked up his prescription and that I could come over and we could have a good time, as he would word it.
Okay, so on those occasions, you would get word, email, he had, Henry had Oxy,
Yes.
that you could come over and have a good time?
Yes.
And on those occasions, as you've already described, you go to the house, you go to the Park of Marietta, and you can have sex with him,
Yes.
and he would give you a amount of Oxy, you would go high with it, right?
Yes.
Can you just take us through, say, is there, let's just say it's September, right? Is there a time or two in September 2017 where you had that transaction with Henry?
I mean, I can't pinpoint exactly when, but yes, it occurred about once a month. Yes.
That would be, right?
Yes.
So, not just salacious details, but tell us exactly how that would work. You would respond yes, and drive over, everything,
Yes.
and he would be there.
Yes.
And then what would be the order of high first, sex first?
Yes, we would get high first and then proceed, and then afterwards, sometimes I would spend the night and sometimes I would leave.
So if you spent the night, you were there for a number of hours, 8 to 12 hours, correct?
Correct.
And you left the professional meeting, you would still be there for a certain number of hours.
Yes.
You get high first, how would it work? You swallow it, snort it, that's many people.
I usually snorted it.
You got the razor blade in the mirror.
Yes.
The movies where there's a line, white powder substance, and you're snorting through those.
Correct.
And you as well.
Yes.
How many pills did you snort did you do at a time?
I would say about 3 at a time.
Was there an amount that you knew that you needed to ingest and snort to get the feeling that you wanted?
Yes.
That's first part of the procedure to arrive at the normal course of business.
Correct.
And then once you're high, that's when the second part of the transaction takes place.
Yes.
Is there a time where Henry became violent?
Yes.
Did Henry sexually assault you at one point?
Yes.
One time or more than
There was one time that I was coherent, but there were other times where I woke up and I knew I had been violated while I was asleep.
one time when you were coherent?
I woke up and I had no clothes on and I was tied to the master bed in the master bedroom.
Now, if you testified and described it, there was this blunt, open and honest deal where you give me drugs and I'll have sex, right?
Correct.
This is different to you?
Yes.
In what way?
Because I hadn't given consent and I was incoherent because of drug use, so I just felt that I was disrespected.
Did you let me know that?
Yes.
Did you do it again?
Not really.
Did you call the police?
No.
after that occasion, would you still go back?
Yes,
Why would you go back to someone that done it?
because I had no self-worth and I wanted the drugs more than I cared about myself.
So each time you make a cost benefit analysis, what would it be to get drugs to help?
Correct.
You mentioned other times when you were asleep, you knew that you had been assaulted.
When I woke up, I either didn't have my pants on or there was a camera that was sitting up in like the bookshelf that was recording. So there was multiple occasions where things like that had occurred.
What was the time frame of the assault?
All within the same area,
Same area being the house,
in the same time frame.
same time frame being fall, early winter, 2017.
Correct.
Meanwhile, when all this was taking place, you had already met Curtis Kruger and you started attempting to start a serious relationship with Curtis Kruger.
Correct.
Now, initially, you met him at the apartment in Harveston, and sort of hanging out as you described, and then moving forward, you hid your, initially, you hid your drug use, right?
Correct.
Hid the fact that you were getting drugs, basically, and having sex with a man,
Yes.
as well as hid the fact that you were being sexually assaulted by this one of these men.
Yes.
Not tell Curtis Kruger, that's right?
No, not initially.
Other men, we've heard names such as John, Mike, Josh, I think it was. You know those names?
Yes.
These are all individuals in the local metro area.
No.
They were somewhere around in Southern California.
Yes.
Were these ex-boyfriends, drug dealers, both?
I believe Mike is referring to Michael. Joshy was somebody that was at the Copper Mountain campus that was out in Joshua Tree. And that was the school I was attending after I had moved out there. John's not ringing a bell, no.
We'll get back to that. But during that time frame then that we were speaking of, which is fall and winter of 2017, Henry wasn't your own supply, right?
No.
Others would apply to you in those options.
Correct.
Would you pay them, or would you also on occasion?
On occasion, I would also have sex with other individuals.
Again, this was always to supply you with painkillers to pay what you need, okay?
Correct.
Now, specific to Curtis Kruger, he's somebody that you introduced to your mom, your dad, that kind of thing.
Yes.
How did you present Curtis Kruger to your
It was actually for my stepfather's mother's funeral. I brought Curtis with me and introduced him as my boyfriend to meet my family.
So these other men that was speaking of Henry, the others, you weren't introduced to them along with that.
No.
Again, there's sort of this two lives you're living, being the third life and doing the one on that. And Curtis was the actual boyfriend, and somebody was first initial.
Correct.
And as you cross over into the year 2018, January, were you spending time in Coronado Hall?
Yes.
Again, Curtis was stationed, right?
Correct.
And he had family in San Diego, right?
Yes.
And then his uncle and your family lived here in San Diego, right?
Yes.
And your mom was a little bit upset and staying away from the father, right?
Correct.
So, we spent quite a bit of time with Chris together. Sometimes he's not here, sometimes he's
Correct.
At some point in your fair to say that the relationship has been progressed from September into January 2018, as your relationship with Chris became more serious.
Yes.
We can talk about getting married at some point.
Yes.
Eventually, you did actually become engaged, right?
Correct.
And you will believe somebody that was dating Curtis at that point that he was extremely yourself.
Yes.
The nature of military, you rotate duty stations every 3 to 5 years. Right?
Correct.
And you'll plan, you'll both marry Curtis in a different part of the country.
Yes.
At some point, it would become knowledge between you and Curtis that you had a grudge.
It was never like clearly discussed between us. No.
At some point in January, you recall Curtis confronting you about your grudge.
He had confronted me about where I was and not necessarily my drug use.